Okay, so today's concept is IAM roles. So, what is IAM role? So, IAM roles are entities you create and assign a specific permission to that, which allows the trusted identities such as workforce identity and application to perform the action in AWS. So, what do you mean by that? So, here, uh, so we create a role, and to that we assign a permission. So what permission will assign? See here, my just take an example of EC2 instance. So EC2 instance wants to access the S3 bucket, or in this EC2 instance, my application is running, which my application wants to access the S3 bucket. So it is not a good practice to give the access key and secret key in a application or in a EC2 machine. We should not give the permanent access. So for that, what we will do, we'll create a role, and that role we will assign to the EC2 instance. So what action the EC2 instance will perform, what kind of permission you have attached to that role, that permission or that action the EC2 instance will perform on a S3 bucket. Okay, so roles comes between the AWS resources and policies. Okay, so you before these roles we used to create the user. For the user we used to attach the identity based policy, and that user credential like access key and secret key we used to configure in a instance, right? So using that user access we used to access it. But now using the role, we'll just attach this role to the instance, because we need to avoid hard coding of our access key and secret key, which is not a good practice. So depend on a role, what which type of role you attach it to the EC2 instance, that action it will perform on a other services. It is just an example that EC2 instance will access the S3 bucket, but here you can attach the role on any other service also, like RDS also you can attach. You can attach the role to the CloudWatch, right? You can attach to the EKS cluster. You can attach it to the registries and all, right? So this is what the role. So there are some points regarding the roles. See, an IAM user can use a role in same account or in a different account. This is the one point. And second point, a role is not uniquely associated with a single person, right? So it can be used by anyone who need it. So that's what. So here once I create this role and attach a particular permission, this is not for a particular user. So any user can assume this role, or this role can be assigned to any of the EC2 instance, right? So that EC2 instance or user can perform what kind of policies attached to that role. Okay, we'll see the demo also shortly. So last point is, a role does not have a long-term security credential. This is the very important point, because when when my application is running in a EC2 instance and that application wants to access the S3 or maybe here RDS, right, database, but how it will access, we need to configure the credential like access key and secret key. Through that it will authenticate, right? But that is not a good practice, because once we hard code our access key and secret key, it's a permanent access, right? So and date on a periodically we can't update it. So to avoid that, the role came into picture. So what kind of access you want to give, just create the role, and that permission you attach to that role. And whoever wears this cap role, they're showing the cap symbol, right? Whoever wears this cap means, if I attach this role to the instance will get the access, or if this role is assumed by an identity like a user or a group, they will get the access. Very simple. So what we'll do now, we'll create one role. I will show you. Let's go to the AWS console. So here in AWS IAM dashboard, you have a role option. So click on a roles. So here, trusted entity type. So what do you mean by trusted entity type? So for which service you are creating the role, right? So role can be created for AWS service or AWS account or a web identity or SAML, federated users. okay, are a custom trusted policies. There are different options to create the roles. So we'll see today how to create a role for a AWS service. So select the AWS service, like here you have a list of AWS service, right? So you can create a role for these all services. So I will select the EC2, right? As per our discussion here, I will create one EC2 instance and I will log into the instance and I will show you whether it has a access or not, and after attaching the role whether it will get a access or not. Both the things we'll see. So use case is EC2. Next, attach the permission, right? So here in this architecture, see, permissions are attached to the role, right? So here I will attach an, for example, S3 full access permission I will attach, and I will go to the next, give the name S3 access role. This will be the name, right? If you see here, there are two policies now. One is select trust identity. So trust identity policy means you need to give the who who will assume this role, right? So in our case, EC2 machine will assume the role. So that's the reason in a principal section there is a EC2. Remember this. And the permission is Amazon S3. That EC2 instance need a Amazon S3 full permission. Got it? So next, so role is created. So when I click on this, you can see in a permission section there is a Amazon S3 full access, and when I go to the trust relationship, so you can see there the trust relationship means who can assume that role. That option is here. So here EC2 will assume that role, right? Now the according to the diagram we created the role, right? Now I need an instance. So already instance is running, so test server is running here. See here, test server is running here. I will connect to this test server. Okay, go to the terminal and log into the test server, right? So I'm logged into the test server. Just imagine here in the server my application is running and my application wants to access the S3 bucket, right? So see here, it is telling that AWS not configured. Okay, so what I will do, I will quickly install the AWS. So AWS CLI, for that, so here I have a document. See, AWS CLI install and update, right? So here select the Linux and this will be the command. So before that I will install the unzip command in my server. For that, sudo apt update. Sudo apt update. Okay, so once your server get updated, then we will install the unzip. Sudo apt install unzip. Okay, unzip is installed. So we are good to go or run this command now. Copy this command and run it. So AWS CLI will be installed. Okay, it's a 1 minute task. So here AWS CLI is installed. Now I can test whether my instance has a access or not. AWS S3 LS. See, it is asking me to unable to locate the credential. Means, as we discussed here, my instance is asking to configure the credential, but we should not, right? We should not hardcode the credential. So for that we created the role. So I will attach this role to the instance now. So go to the EC2 dashboard, select your instance, right? And go to the action, and here in a security, modify the IAM role. Just refresh here and select your role, S3 access role, right? Update it. So for one time there you can attach a single role to the instance, not a multiple role. Just remember this. Suppose I have a instance running here, this instance I can attach only one role. Suppose this instance need a, here my RDS is also running. Okay, so somewhere here RDS is also running. Then I will draw the RDS here. See, somewhere here my RDS is running, right? So my instance need a access to the RDS also, like this. Then I need to create one more policy regarding the RDS and attach to the role, same role. The same role will give the access to the both S3 and RDS. Very simple. So for the same time, only one role you can attach to the instance. That is very important. Now I attached the role to the server. So now again go back and test whether I got access or not. Means my instance got access or not. S3 ls. See here. Now I got access. Means my instance able to access the S3 bucket. Right. And here you can see there is no any credentials configured. Okay. There is no any file created because I have not configured the, using the AWS configure command, I have not configured any kind of credentials, right? So if I configure the AWS credentials, then that will be hard coded in a server. So that is not a good practice. So this is all about the roles, guys. Okay. So in the next video, I will show you how these roles are assumed by a user. Okay. So now you attached this role to the instance, but let's see how this role can be assumed by a user. Okay. Okay. Thank you.